Hello and good morning, and I promised a video about my footing, so that is what I'm going to talk about now. So I got this from IGK Equestrian. I believe they are out of Albany-ish, around Albany somewhere, New York. And it's called Light Stride. They have a few different variations of this footing. Um, they have some that's better for jumpers, some that's better for Western riders. I got like the middle range one that's supposed to be good for dressage riders. I absolutely love this footing. It is, as you can see, it's a wax coated, I believe, sand, and it has these little things that look like carpet fibers almost in it. I'll go grab. Occasionally chunks of it come up, so this is what's interspersed within the sand. And it is amazing. It is it was the best purchase that I have made for this property so far. It's the one thing that I don't really have to worry about. It's completely dust free. And when I say completely dust free, I absolutely mean it. No dust whatsoever. It doesn't really move when the horses step on it. I mean, it obviously moves a little bit, but not much. I don't have to drag this arena more than once a month-ish, depending on how much it's ridden on. But I mean, and during the winter months, I have occasionally gone a couple of months without dragging it, and it's definitely not, it's not ideal, but it's not the end of the world either, because it doesn't really affect it that much. You'll get like a track around the outside, but that's about it. And the only thing that I can say bad about it is that it sticks to absolutely everything. It sticks to the soles of your shoes, it sticks to the horse's feet, it sticks to the tack. I have a special little wire brush that one of my boarders bought to clean out our stirrup pads, because it gets just stuck into the stirrup pads and there's no grip left. But that's really the only thing bad I can say about it. Otherwise, it's wonderful. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have, there's no spreading magnesium on it to keep the dust down, because there is no dust. And like I said, super low maintenance. I only drag it about once a month. And it's a little bit difficult to pick the poop out of it. When a horse poops, I try to not let it step in the poop because then it's a pain to try to get it out, and I don't want handfuls of this wonderful, very expensive footing to go to the compost. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely expensive. It's definitely not cheap. Like regular sand footing to do this arena, regular sand footing would have been about 12 to 15,000, and then I would have had to worry about dragging it all the time, because the outdoor I have to drag when people ride on it, like 2 to 3 rides, I have to drag it, and I would have worried, and it's really dusty. I would have had to worry about dust, and not only like keeping the dust down for us to not breathe it in all the time, but also like keeping the mirrors clean and keeping dust off of all the surfaces would have been a lot more difficult. And with this stuff, I don't have to worry about it, but it is around twice the price, a little bit over twice the price. And it was a little bit of an adventure getting it in here. It came in on 5 18-wheelers in 1-ton bags. I think each truck had 20-ish bags on it, and I had the guy who did all of the site work for the place, he put the footing in, and they had to take the bags off with their skid steer. They brought the bags in, he ripped a hole in the bottom, let the sand dump out, and then threw the bag out the back of the arena. And then I had to deal with all these bags that I ended up taking to the dump in several trips, because it was, like I said, about 100-ish bags, big 1-ton bags. And then they had to spread it out, measured it. It had to go on 3 inches thick, I believe, and then they brought in a roller to roll it flat and to push it down to about 2 to 2.5 inches. And then after they rolled it, it was completely flat, and then I didn't have a drag at that time, so which is another piece of equipment I'll talk about eventually, they came back in with another piece of equipment to kind of churn it back up after they'd flattened it. And now I just use my drag, it kind of fluffs up the top inch. I don't go any further in than that. And so that was, but once it was in, it's been great. I haven't had to worry about it at all. And especially my first winter here was a little bit tough because we were still getting rolling and getting, working out the kinks in snow removal and all that kind of stuff. And this was like the one area of the property that I didn't have to worry about. And it was fabulous. And if you're putting in an arena, if you're, need to redo your footing, I would highly recommend spending the money and getting something that is going to, you're not going to have to worry about, because it just takes so much pressure off. And the horses love it, and my boarders love it, and it's, footing is kind of one of those major things, aside from, it's probably the most important thing when you're running a boarding facility, aside from the actual care of the horses, is the footing to ride in. Because if you don't have good footing, there's no point. The horses could get injured, and if your boarders don't want to ride because the footing sucks, what's the point of people being there? So yes, I would, if you're looking into this, I would highly recommend getting, if you don't want this particular product, there are other products out there. This was the one I thought was the best for the price and location. Since we're in Vermont, it's not that far from New York, because that was a lot of the cost was shipping. I looked into another product that was out of like Ohio or something, and they were, I think half again as much, and it was because they had to ship from the Midwest. So yeah, if you found this to be interesting and entertaining and informative, please click subscribe and have a good one.